Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm so happy to be here, and I love when Amy sings. It soothes my soul. Her voice is just so gentle and soothing. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to when I'm coming here, is that I'm going to hear Amy in person and hear her sing. And just sitting in that vibration from the moment that Ed started to read and pray us into the service and speak about the law, everything inside me shifted. And let me tell you what it shifted from. In my mind, this morning service began at 11. And so I'm just tooling on down 50, singing at the top of my lungs in my car. And the phone rings and it's Ed, and he's like, "Hi, are you on your way?" And I'm thinking, "Oh yeah, sure, I'm on my way. I'm turning left on Graham Road." And as I start to turn left, I have this flash. Service begins 10 minutes to 11 and not 11 o'clock. So immediately, right, I had all this anxiety driving down Graham Road, and I'm praying myself in, divine timing, right order. I arrive in grace and ease, and I'm talking myself down the road, and I still come in, and there's all this fidgeting that I now have to do. Set up the camera and get the mic on and get yourself settled in a chair, and all that's happening, right? And then I remind myself it's a lawful universe, and everything happens in grace and ease. And there's always right order, and there's always right timing. And when I center myself into that truth, everything shifts. And sometimes my ability to center myself is not always within my mental state. So I allowed myself to be centered by Ed's voice. When he started to read and he started to talk about the law, I allowed my attention to focus on that, and then everything inside me came into alignment. And it was just a shifting. So then I could enjoy Amy singing, because now I was in alignment and I wasn't in chatter in my head. So this topic, right, about adventures in lawful living. And the reason why I call it adventures in lawful living is because if you're anything like me, which we all have, I believe, this quality, you're always testing the law to see how it's going to unfold and whether it does actually work. And, so sometimes, like today, it was distance and time. I knew exactly how much time I needed to leave home to drive at a particular speed to get here by 11, because I thought I was arriving at 11. And so I had enough time to get here, and I followed that principle, and I drove at that speed, and the law of time and distance got me here at 10 minutes to 11, which was the time I was planning on being early to arrive for. And it worked out. I got here at 10 minutes to 11. So the universe, right, is like a lawful universe. Everything exists within some type of law. And we know this from the scientific level that, the law of gravity, if you let it go, it's going to fall because gravity pulls everything to the earth. We know that the law of the universe keeps all of the planets fully aligned where they are, where they're supposed to be. And we know that the rotation of the earth is happening in the way that it should happen, giving us our seasons and our day and nights, and our little journey, around on the planet is really, it's grounded and rooted in law. It's rooted in seasonal changes. The plants, the animals, they all participate in that law. The birds know when to go south. The plants know when to go to sleep because winter is here or coming or on its way. And there's a process and there's a following of the law. Now, what does that mean for us when we're talking about spirituality and the practice of the law as a spiritual experience, the practice of the law? Now, you're always in it, right? Because whether you're actively practicing law or passively practicing law, you are practicing law. You get up every morning and you start your day and you're walking into a lawful way of being, whether you're doing it with active engagement or you're doing it because you're just showing up, and that's passively doing it there. So the law itself is always happening. Now, there are many laws, and we break them down, but the main law is the law of the universe. It's the law of love. It is the law of God itself. And it is what we have our beingness in and as. And most recently, my teachings with the people that I work with has been for us to really get down and align ourselves with the awareness that the law and God itself is who and what we are. We cannot have our presence and our beingness outside of it because it is everywhere. It is all of it, the thing itself, that we live within and have our moving beingness, all of the activity of our fears. That's it. So there is no going to the presence of God because you're already in the presence of God. There is no tapping into spirit because you are already in spirit. All you need to shift is your attention, your awareness to the realization that you are standing in the very presence of God because it is you and you are completely inseparable from life, completely inseparable from the journey itself, completely inseparable from the law. Now, when you sit with that and you practice spiritual practices, you practice meditation, and you practice by reading, you practice by teaching yourself more and more about the law of love and God itself, you start to recognize that you are having your beingness there. And you start to walk in the world in that way, right? So you get upright in your posture because now you are clearly aware that you're a demonstration of the Most High. You are it. And it is happening through you and as you, having its experience on the planet as you. As Amy, God, Amy, God. No separation. It is one. It is beautiful and it's right here, right now. So from that place, you engage in different aspects of the law. And that's the part where you start to get into the adventure, right, of lawful living. Because there's so many different laws that are operating in the universe within the law of love and God itself. There are all these different ways in which we can tap into lawfulness. So one of them is circulation. And the law of circulation is one of my favorites because that's one of the places where I get to actively give love. And I practice the law of circulation. I'm just going to tap into each of these laws and give you examples. One of the things that I do is I practice sharing my smile. And I practice giving love and being the presence of love wherever I go. Not with choice of who gets it, but whoever comes into my purview, whoever I'm walking towards, whoever catches my eye and I catch their eye, I give them a smile and I say good morning or good afternoon or hi, how are you? And I share and circulate the energy of love throughout the universe. Now, one of the things that I do in my life is I show up as an attorney in a courthouse. And now, for the last 5-6 years I've been in this particular courthouse showing up with my smile, with my hello, with my good morning, how are you? And now when I go, I'm greeted by the love and the light and the joy. Before I can even open my mouth to say good morning, the people that see me coming, we have engaged in circulating this love to each other in such a pattern for so long that it just circulates among us. And we all see each other and we're all smiling and we're all saying good morning, and our day is already on a whole different trajectory because we've started it out by circulating love to each other. And what I know is that that passes on from me to others and from them to others, and it goes out into the world exponentially. And the environment in which we're working has a circulation of love and light about it, despite all of the other things that are going on within the courthouse. We, the people that are there working on a daily basis, we're sharing love. And it's going out into the world, and we get to share it with clients, and we get to share it with individuals who are going through some of the most difficult times in their lives. We get to give that and circulate it until it flows out beyond the doors of the courthouse into the world. So that's one of my favorite things to do with circulation, is to circulate love and light and see people and share, give a smile. Even when they're across the way, I'll just smile if we catch each other's eye, because that's my indication. You've got my attention, I have yours. That's my opportunity to circulate some love. So I do that with the law of circulation. There's also the law of reciprocity. So the law of reciprocity works in that you give out and then you receive. Now it sounds very similar, right, to circulation. But with reciprocity, what happens is what I give, right, comes back to me, not from who I give it to, necessarily, although it can, but it comes back to me exponentially from places, unexpected places, in unexpected ways, at the most unexpected time. And so I get to be the person that shows up with courtesy and kindness and givingness, and professionalism in whatever it is that I'm doing. And when I show up in that way, that comes back to me from unexpected places, in the most unexpected ways. So I'm giving in my profession, and I'm giving in my time, and I'm giving in my effort, and I'm really giving generously. I'm not giving to receive anything. I am giving just because I can, right? So I'm giving things out into the world, and then I show up at a doctor's office, for example, and all of a sudden the person sitting behind the counter is giving back to me in such a professional and loving and kind and generous way and walking me through a process, and I'm thinking, boy, she didn't have to go that far, or she didn't have to put that much into it. And then I realized, yes, she did, because we're in reciprocity. She's giving and serving, and I'm giving and serving back. So you go out into the world in the law of reciprocity, whatever it is you're giving. Now here comes the adventure. The adventure happens when you go out and all of a sudden something happens in your mind and you track back to, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough, and I can't play with these people. And I start to constrict and I stop giving. Well, then what happens? The flow is constricted, and what would normally be coming back to me in a reciprocity manner, it's not happening. Because I've constricted the flow, my awareness of the flow has shut down, and I'm no longer in a place to receive. Because see, with reciprocity, you have to be also available for the receiving of what is being given to you, what is being offered to you. You have to be open to receive, just not to give. And so that's one of the practices with reciprocity, is to work on that area in your life where not only are you giving of yourself, you're also open to receive. And so then you have what is called flow. And it happens for you because you show up in your life, and then flow begins to happen everywhere you go. In the marketplace, on your way to work, on the highway. The time is constricted for something, and the flow opens up, even though you think perhaps this may not happen. Flow is happening. It is all about your perception and what you're engaging in, because that's what the law says. And it's very simple. Whether you do it actively or you do it passively, it's not ever turned off. Like, flow is not ever shut down. It's just the way that you're looking at it. It's just the way you're participating in it. And it's just whether or not you are willing to receive and to give and be in the absolute flow of life itself. When you live from that place, you'd be surprised to see all of the unexpected adventures that you can have in life, because you allowed yourself to be receptive. And you allowed yourself to give freely without attachment. Here's the other part, to the outcome. You're giving freely without the attachment to the outcome. So your kindness, your generosity, your time, the fact that you volunteer and you show up to help others, all of that is being done not for the thank you, not for the appreciation, not for the plaque of honor for all your service hours given and provided, but because you are giving because you can. And so when you give because you can, you also receive because you can, and you stay in a very receptive posture in life. And so that law is also a very fun one for me, because I like to watch what happens when I expand my awareness as I'm giving, and also expanding my awareness to receive. And receiving is very tricky, because we've been taught, right, conditioned to say, oh, no, that's okay, thank you. You don't have to do that. It's not necessary. And every day now that I catch myself, when you see the no and you're pushing it away, and you know it's okay, when I catch myself doing that now, I go, oh, the arms are going up for the no, and I go, thank you. You know? And I kind of switch it around. And it took me a while to really switch myself to be a receiver and to actively be fully engaged in the law, right? Because being a giver is just part of the law. You're not fully engaged if you're not also receiving. And I was conditioned to be a giver, but I was not conditioned to be a receiver. I was conditioned to go, oh no, you're too kind, it's okay, not necessary. And now I'm like, thank you very much. I really appreciate your giving me that gift, or you're doing this for me. Thank you. And I am practicing also asking. Now this part, right, this is the third aspect of it, is the asking for help. the asking for assistance, the saying, hi, can you watch my girls for me, please? I really need to do something. That for me is really difficult. That is a really hard part, right? Because the asking indicates something in my mind. It triggers something within me that says you don't have, or you're not capable, or you're not able. And it triggers. So now I practice asking sometimes for the help that I need. Because, you know, there's all this, there's some scripture that talks about seeking first the kingdom of the divine, right? And when all these things will be added onto you. And then it says, ask, right? Seek and you shall find. Ask and it shall be given to you. It's like, oh, what a concept. How did I miss that? I've been reading the Bible forever. Why did I not ever see that in the Bible, even though I probably was taught to memorize that verse? But the asking part somehow escaped me because I wasn't conditioned to ask. I wasn't conditioned to give. I wasn't conditioned to receive or ask. I was only conditioned to give because that is the right and noble thing to do. Well, it's also very right and noble to allow others, because when you accept from others, you're allowing them to participate in their own good, and you're allowing them to be givers as well. So that law really is a lot of fun because you can engage in different aspects of it at different times. You can be a giver, you can be a receiver, and you can ask for what it is that is necessary, what it is that you need. Now, I recently had a situation with one of my friends. I got an email, and I had a very interesting, I want to say visceral reaction to the email. And I went, ugh, and I could feel it go through my body, right? And then my automatic gut reaction was, not response, right? My reaction was, shoot off a response. And so, I typed up my response. And then I went, hold it, bracket, just bracket it. Save the draft, don't send the email. Stop. And then because I realized, right, based on what was going on in the physical body, that something was going down, and what I was doing had none of the spiritual qualities that I knew. Although I had used nice spiritual words when I was typing the email, it was like lots of nice spiritual words. It was peppered with spirituality. Yes, this, and the presence of God, and all of that was in the email, right? But the vibration behind it, I mean, you could feel it coming off the computer screen. And I realized, I was like, stop, bracket. And I stood in my humanness and I smiled at myself. And then I sent a text to a friend and I said, hey, actually I called her and I said, hey, I need to talk to you. I need to share an email with you before I send it. Call me when you have a minute. And I asked for help, right? In reciprocity, I asked. She called, really cool. She called me back. She got to give her time to me, she got to give her wisdom to me, and then I got to receive it, all in one fell swoop, because I asked for help. And I reached out and I said, hey, I think I need to run this by someone before I press send. And then we stayed on the phone and we reworded and retooled the email. We talked about what it could sound like and what it could look like if I stepped back and stood in the place of compassion and love, and not be so reactive, but rather respond with love and understanding and kindness. And when I pulled back, because I asked for help, I stopped and I asked for help, and then I allowed her to give it to me, and then I received it. When I did that, I was able to send the most loving response. And the person and I had a conversation shortly thereafter, and there was no issue. Now, can you imagine if I had just sent off my peppered email of reactionary foolishness that wasn't based in anything but some little tender place in me that she must have poked when I read her email, or some little part of my toe that got stepped on when I read her email? I was ready, like, locked and loaded and ready to react from that place. But the practice of spiritual, everyday, daily practicing spiritual principles, the practice of spiritual principles automatically kicked in and said, bracket. Just bracket this for a minute. This is how you feel. This is not what you mean. This is not your intention. This is your feeling. Bracket it. Set it aside. Do what you know how to do. Reach out for help. Get the help. Allow yourself to shift. And what a beautiful thing it is when you do that, because then we are opening the door for further conversation. We're opening the doors for more and more. And that's what happens when you live lawfully. I could have sent that email and created a rainstorm of hurt and misguided feelings and misinterpretations, but the practice of being spiritual on a daily basis and then stepping into a law and really activating the law itself allowed me to shift and do something different. So there is this idea and this understanding that within the law itself, there are many laws that guide us and function in our lives. There's the law of emergence. The law of emergence happens to everything, everywhere, everything that's living. Out of it, there is an emergence of life itself. I'll give you the best example I have is the apple seed, right? And this one was given to me by another teacher, so I'm not going to own it, but it's a great example anyway, and I think a lot of us use it. In the apple seed is an entire orchard. In the apple seed, there's an entire orchard, one single apple seed. And if you plant it, and it's in the right circumstances around that one seed, an apple tree emerges from the earth. And from that apple tree emerges hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of apples that then can be multiplied and multiplied until the orchard that was in the one seed emerges into life itself. The law of emergence says that who and what you are, the very core and fiber of who and what you are, will emerge, absolutely emerge, if given the right set of circumstances. And the right set of circumstances, and this is I think hands down one of my favorite laws, because in the right set of circumstances, you can nurture the very core of who you are, all of your gifts and talents, and watch them emerge into greatness, and watch them emerge into beauty, and watch them emerge into abundance, and watch them emerge into love, and watch them emerge from within you. And as Reverend Faith was talking about becoming more yourself, because you surround the core of who you are with the right set of circumstances. And with the right set of circumstances, out emerges you. And you do that by reading. You do that by writing. You do that by journaling and really tapping into the core of yourself. You do spiritual studies. You take classes. You get teachers. You find spiritual teachers and spiritual counselors who will walk with you, and give of their time and talents and wisdom and help you to create the right circumstances in your life so that the greatness of all of what you are can and will absolutely emerge. And it will emerge from the very depths of your soul. And you will become more and more of your true self by fully surrendering yourself with the right circumstances, the right people, the right languaging, the right conversations. And the right conversations, you know what they are because you feel them inside. You feel how good it feels when you are just still and you listen to your inner self. You know you're in the right conversation, and you know you're hanging out with the right people for the right set of circumstances to occur around you so that your full self can emerge. So I'm inviting you today to enter into the law of emergence, to really start to focus on what that looks like and challenge yourself and look at yourself without judgment or any of that self-flogging that we sometimes are conditioned to do. Really look at yourself with compassion and love and see the places where you need to adjust your circumstances. See the places where you need to put in some more work and till the soil in the garden of your soul. See the places where you need to do more work so that you can have more of yourself unfold and you can heal the appearance of brokenness, or you can heal the appearance of sadness, or you can heal the appearance of lack, or you can heal the appearance of being limited or without. See yourself be with yourself and give yourself permission to grow so that you can emerge from the depths of your soul and live the life that you were born to live. Live the life that you were created to live and be in the world in the way that you were created to be in the world. You do study, you practice meditation, you read wonderful books that soothe and feed your soul, that feel good. You turn your attention away from the world of effects and appearances and all of what appears to be broken and all of what appears to not be working. And you turn your attention to the realization that everything that is emerging right now in our world, especially in our American world, is happening for us to heal it, for us to create. And the right set of circumstances had to happen, right? For this stuff to bubble up to the surface so that it can be healed and die in the light of exposure. As long as it was in the darkness and not being talked about and not being dealt with and not being given attention, it would, right? Just stay there and fester and continue. But when, and if you notice, right, the things that are in the dark, that grow in the dark, moss, fungus, you know, things of that sort that aren't really all that good for us, you know, and you know, we've got all kinds of things, right, that are coming up now into the light, and we're going, oh, that's happening in our country, that's happening in our lives, this is real, and it's coming up for us to give it some attention and some love and to create the right set of circumstances for us to move forward in love and light and understand that these places that feel broken and look broken and feel damaged and wounded need our love and attention as human beings so that we can emerge into the greatest state of human consciousness that we have ever had. We are now in this time on this planet right now to emerge from the depths of what is happening, the greatest human consciousness that we have ever lived, that we have ever had on the planet, where love and compassion and joy and peace and real acceptance and authentic understanding and real love can happen on the planet. But first we have to create the circumstances. And as it comes up and it's emerging for us, it's emerging for us to send love and light and healing energy and healing practices and really show up in love and light. It's emerging for us to become compassion, to be compassion in all of our affairs. And when we do that, we create the shift to the greatest state of human consciousness that we have ever seen, because now is the time and we are all present for it. Yes. So I invite you to join me in this time to really turn your attention within and really recognize that right where you are, God is. There is absolutely no spot where God is not. God, in its power and presence and beauty and love and joy, is present in all that is happening at all times. And each one of us with our own ability to think and move and be present. Each one of us sitting in this room right now, each one of us on the planet with the ability to show up and be the presence of God, be the presence of love and light and joy and peace. Each one of us gets to go within to the core of who and what we are and allow our greatness to emerge. Each one of us, because we have what is necessary within us already. We already have it. Each one of us now creates the circumstances and the set of circumstances that are necessary to allow our spirits and our soul and our true selves to emerge into its fullest expression. I give thanks for the power and presence of God, knowing that right where we are, God is in love and light and joy and harmony. I am so grateful that I am one with this presence. I know absolutely in all of my consciousness that I am aligned fully with the presence of God, that there is no aspect of my beingness that exists outside of its presence. No separation, no thing outside of the presence of God. I know this is true for me, and it is true for everyone in this room. It is true for everyone, everywhere. And so I know absolutely that each one of us engages actively in the law of love and life itself, allowing us to create the perfect set of circumstances out of which we can emerge into our greater yet to be. We do our parts. We give, we receive, we ask, we accept, we allow, and we actively engage in the presence of God as our very lives. How grateful I am to know this as a truth for each one of us, that as we leave here forever changed, forever changed, each one of us is leaving an indelible mark and creating an exponential experience of love and light upon the planet. For this and so much more than words can ever express, I do give thanks. And I release my words into the loving activity of the law of God itself, knowing that it is already done, and together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Peace and blessings. Thank you.